this massive statue off in the distance is the iconic angel of Angel City, of course. And if we turn away from the harbor, we can see the sheer scope of the city. A massive, futuristic metropolis with skyscrapers piercing the clouds. And Titanfall 2 is a phenomenal first-person shooter. It is, of course, the sequel to Titanfall. Mike. Big holographic sign saying Mike on that building. It's a funny choice. Hammond. Of course, this is Hammond Robotics, the creators of the titular Titans of Titanfall, which are giant robots that can be piloted by highly trained soldiers. And I just think this is interesting here, these advertisements for Respawn. That is probably a reference to the developer of this game, Respawn. And over here we can see a large cargo ship docked at the harbor. Terra's Symph, it seems to read on the side there. Perhaps the name of the ship. And if you've never played Titanfall or Titanfall 2, the defining feature of its multiplayer is that you can play both on foot as a pilot and you can play in a Titan, and you can switch fluidly between the two. So it was and is tremendous fun. I loved the first Titanfall. To be honest, I didn't quite click. Oh man, look at the size of that building. That's gorgeous. I didn't quite click with Titanfall 2 in the same way. Titanfall 2 was better in a lot of ways, but it narrowed down how you could customize your Titan, restricting you into certain Titan classes, and so you could not create an entirely personalized Titan. And there's reasons for and against that, but for me personally, it bothered me because I was never able to recreate the Titan that I used in Titanfall 1. But, got some wanted signs here for some significant characters from the campaign of Titanfall 1 and also universe of Titanfall is pretty cool. We can walk into the harbor services building here. It takes place in the far future, of course, and it takes place in the, and pardon me for any time I use a wrong term here or something. It's been a long time since I've played the campaigns of these games, so I might use slightly incorrect terms or whatever, but for example, the game is set in these distant colonies far, far, far away from Earth. And I can't remember if that's called the Outer Colonies or the Outer Rim or whatever it might be, but basically, a long time ago, there were some colony ships sent out into this distant region. But then, trouble back at Earth, back on the home front, so to speak, made the IMC, which was a corporate entity that had funded the colonization efforts, turned its attention away from the colonists because of what was going on back on Earth. And so the colonists were basically left to their own devices for, I forget how long, but I think, some number of generations. Or maybe just a few decades. I think people grew up in the colonies, so probably, 20 years or something. But, eventually, once the IMC wrapped up its business back in home space, it turned its attention back to the colonies, and it found that the colonists had thrived in the intervening time span. And the IMC, greedy for resources, returned to the colony space and said, well, we own everything here. Okay, this must be the name of the ship. Oceanus Aura. And so the IMC said, we're taking all of your land, we're taking your resources, your mines, your farms, so on. And the colonists said, no thank you, and banded together to form the militia and fight back against the IMC. So that forms the primary conflict of the Titanfall games. The conflict between the IMC and the militia. Large anchor on this cargo freighter ship. So in Angel City, where we currently are, the city is under martial law from the IMC due to the nature of the conflict. The IMC has locked down Angel City to fight back against the militia. Robots Brewing Company. is Simuladies. That's funny. Okay. I guess every future aesthetic world has to have digital strippers or whatever. Simuladies, I can only imagine that's what that is. Maybe it's even worse. Maybe it's AI girlfriends. We have a vending machine here with a variety of kanji characters that I cannot read. A rocket shot neon sign. A table here with some magazines on it. Frontier Guide. Frontier Guide. What's this say? Island Magazine. Elland Magazine. Hidden Gems. Location, location, location. Some more characters. If any of you, I don't know if that's, I mean, I really have, no idea what that is, if it's, Chinese or what, but, if anybody knows, feel free to translate in the comments. Here we have, large statue. Okay, maybe it would, yeah, make sense for it to be Chinese, because this is sort of an aesthetic of statue that I associate with China. And actually that cargo ship there has some sails on it that are reminiscent of junks, now that I think about it. Those Chinese ships, those old Chinese ships. Slide card to call. Angel City Bank. Little ATM. My mic is being silly. So I'm having to cut out a couple of things here and there. I think I need to buy a new XLR cable because this one is creating some electrical noise unless I hold it in a very specific way. Frontier science revealed. Dropships. One of the defining features of Titanfall for me is its fluidity of gameplay. It has wall running, grappling hooks, double jumps, all sorts of mobility tech. And it was so satisfying to run around the environments of this game. To, wall run across a building, jump into a window, grapple out another window, suddenly change momentum by jumping backwards, hitting the wall hanging, shooting somebody, grappling up to another ledge. I mean, just the combos, the chains that you could accomplish in this game. And then of course there's something so exciting and fun about, after an athletic combo like that, landing in your Titan. And there were some cool animations, like, depending on where you entered your Titan from, if you were above or below or whatever, there were different animations for how you would get into your Titan, which was pretty cool. I just feel like this game, Titanfall 1 and 2, did such a wonderful job of achieving that fantasy of the mech pilot. Yeah, sorry, I'm just remembering the gameplay of these games now. They were so good. Titanfall 1 was a pretty funny game in one respect, which is it did not have a single player campaign. It did have a campaign, but it was restricted to the multiplayer. Basically, there were certain campaign missions, and you could choose to play a campaign mission, and what it was just a regular multiplayer match, but it had a predetermined story outcome at the end, and the characters would, sorry, let's look at some of these ads here, or, store signs, Diamond Jim's painting. The fastest bikes are now the greenest. The all-new Landau Mun ZPR1E. An electric motorcycle, it seems. The Dolorosa Tattoo Company. We have these little storefronts here. Over here, let's see, more energy than considered healthy. That's funny. And here we have Lumpies, Lumpopotamus, Lumpoclock, Lumpacalifragilisticexpialidocious, Lumpalicious, Lumpalooza, Lumptastic, Lumporama, Lumpifiable. Someone had fun with that one. Big Bang Pizza. Yeah, so in Titanfall 1, the story was primarily conveyed through radio conversations during the missions between major characters. And some of the set dressing of the missions would be different as well. So like, you know, in the regular multiplayer map, what's this? How about apple juice? How about apple juice? Kodai. You know, if you just played the multiplayer map, it would be sort of basic, but if you played the campaign mission version of the map, there would be a lot more stuff going on in the background, like, you know, ships attacking each other or whatever. Not huge things. I don't know, it's been a long time, but I think generally wasn't massive changes. But there might be a certain ship that gets shot at the sky or whatever. And yeah, it didn't matter who won or lost the match. That would usually change some ending context, I guess. Like, if the IMC won, might blow up a rebel ship or a militia ship, and if the militia won, then the ship would get away safely. It didn't make a difference to the campaign. However, it was just a little bonus, I guess, for winning. But yeah, it was an okay campaign. I mean, for what it was, like, obviously they were doing something pretty experimental, and I'll give them props for trying something new. I don't think it worked super well. I think the campaign was pretty lackluster, but honestly, I think a large part of that was more just because of the writing and the voice performance, which was sometimes a little cheesy. Vindustries. But also, obviously, the format of playing a multiplayer match while trying to take in a campaign storyline, those don't necessarily go together very well. But it was an interesting idea, at the very least. They did a much better job in Titanfall 2, however. Just sticking to a more traditional single-player campaign. I thought it was okay. It didn't, blow my mind. But it was fine. You play as this guy, Jack Cooper, which is just about the most generic name you could think of, right? But your Titan pilot buddy gets killed and you have to take over as Titan. And then you end up fighting against the IMC. Got a lot of paintings hung up around here. Yeah, the first game's campaign, I guess I should say, is, what's this? Notice of eviction. Notice of eviction. I see. Yeah. Things are tough out here in Angel City, of course. But what was I saying? Yeah, the Titanfall 1 campaign. It was basically, I don't know, I mean, it was just largely a fight between the IMC and the militia, but the big event in it, from my recollection, was that the militia successfully destroyed an IMC, like refueling station or something. I forget the details of how it all worked, science fiction wise, but it also, this is funny, this is cool. All these fridges are full of milk, nothing but milk. You can choose goat milk or various fat contents of whole milk. Okay, here we go. At least here's some sort of a cola or something. But yeah, sorry, what was my train of thought? Yeah, they destroyed a station of some kind that basically trapped, it stopped travel between Earth and the colony space. And so all of the IMC forces fighting the militia were basically left without reinforcements. See, I don't remember all the details there, but that was the sort of big ending of that campaign. And one of the militia guys like sacrificed himself to do that. And then another IMC guy betrays the IMC and joins them, and then you've got this like psycho South African mercenary dude who's working for the IMC and yada yada yada. Cup noodles, blue cola or red cola. Hot deal, great prices. Solar cola by IMC. We've got some Cyrillic up there as well. Seems like Angel City has a large meshing of cultures and nationalities. There's all these different languages and things here. Free Wi-Fi though. I guess they still have Wi-Fi. However many hundreds of years in the future this is. So we're here on in an apartment. It's a nice view out into the town square there. I like that no Titan sign. So in this apartment we have some photos here. Maybe some members of Respawn, developers' families. Maybe a group photo of the developers as well. Here we have a wanted poster for Robert Barker Taub. He's got a bit of a goofy face, doesn't he? This is a character primarily from the first game, although he appears in the second game as well. He's Caucasian, male, black hair, blue eyes. Identifying marks, aliases, crimes. You can read all of Taub's crimes there if you want. But he was retrieved from Angel City. The mission in Titanfall 1 in Angel City revolved around the militia trying to extract Taub because they needed him to fight back against the IMC for some reason. I like chips. There's some graffiti there that says I like chips. Titan, no Titans, no Titans allowed, no Titans allowed, no Titans allowed. Little town square sort of thing here. Yes please, donuts. Yes please, donuts. I could go for a donut right now. Electric chicken. Electric chicken. Steve's electric chicken. Or sorry, maybe this one's better. Electric chicken jockey. Electric chicken jockey. So if we come out here to the alley, we have more plastered posters and graffiti. Let's hop up on the roof and continue exploring. Also, normally in these map exploration videos, I get through a handful of maps, but today, given how intricate Angel City is, I like this graffiti of the Titans with the skull in the center. What's this? Some sort of a... I'm not sure what that is, actually. Given how long the Angel City exploration is taking, I don't think we'll be getting through too many maps. These are a couple of robots. There are little human-sized robots in Titanfall. I forget their name. Are they specters, maybe? I remember liking them because they had little smiley faces on them. They have a little screen on them, and they would have a little smiley face. Marvin, is that right? Am I remembering correctly? Were they all Marvins, or was Marvin just the name of one of them? I remember in Titanfall 2, you could choose your faction that you would fight for in the multiplayer, and one of them that you could play for was the robot faction, Marvin's Finest Hour, I think it was. So, this is, I'm not sure if I mentioned this or not, fuel and airline access. I definitely didn't mention that. I'm not sure if I mentioned it, but sorry. I just wasn't expecting to see that no bean sign there. I don't know why, but that tickled me. Probably because it was like indoors. Like, if you have to put a no bean sign indoors, you've got a real problem with bean in your bean in your building. Anyway, what do we have here? Is this like a little grocery store, or not a grocery store? Oh no, this is like... Okay, I have no idea what this is. It's like a little building that you can sit in, I guess. But here's a pizza box from Big Bang Pizza. That's continuity right there. They have a pizza store called Big Bang Pizza. And then they have pizza boxes in the map from Big Bang Pizza. That is, people, high quality map design. Okay? That's how you know that people care. What was I saying? I know that I had started a thought and then I was going to say that Angel City is a remake of a map from Titanfall 1. This game, this map rather, was in Titanfall, the original, and it came back for Titanfall 2. I don't think they really made any changes to it. Maybe design changes were made, I don't know, but I'm pretty sure the map, at least structurally, is pretty obviously that they changed. Not obviously. Sometimes I say obviously when something isn't obvious. It's more like a, I don't know, it's like a tick or something. But not necessarily obviously. They changed the wanted posters because one of those characters is dead by the end of the first Titanfall campaign, and another character on the wanted posters in this is of course Jack Cooper, the protagonist of Titanfall 2. And of course he wasn't in the first Titanfall, so they added those wanted posters. So here we have maybe a residence, it looks like, with some painting. I kind of like these paintings actually. I like how it feels like initially like chaos, but then as you look at them, you start to see the image, you start to see like actual representations of objects and stuff, even though at first it looks like an abstract, sort of Rothko-esque style of a painting. The more you look at it, the more it resolves itself into an actual scene, which I think is pretty cool. I kind of dig these. I dig these paintings. I want to know who made them. Let's see what this one over here is. Got a sort of tower there in the center right. I like these. I would hang these in my house. Well, I don't know, they're kind of a distinct vibe for sure. And I feel like if I hang them up, you know, it's maybe too bold of a statement. That doesn't really go here with the rest of my my decorations, but they're cool. Let's just let's leave it there. Got some weird alien fish here. This little outdoor market. KRS 10 Performance, Cyclery, and Multisport. Unconscious rum. Okay. Unconscious rum. Usually the rum makes you unconscious. Angel Apartments. Angel Apartments. With this very future-y font, right? Apartment 1 here. Apartment number 1. Apartment number 2. Unfortunately, we can't go in any of these so far, so we are not getting a good sense of what these people, how they live. Apartment 3 and 4 down here. I wonder what rent is like in Angel City. Oh, and you know what? I was a bad tour guide. Earlier, we were walking past those giant walls. There you go, you can see them beyond these buildings, but those were created by the IMC after instituting martial law to divide up Angel City. Jack Cooper. This is his wanted sign. He's 5'8". We stand a short king here, folks, of course. He's 185 pounds. He's got tattoos on his left hand. Aiding in terror attacks against the IMC and espionage are his crimes. And a 25,000 credit reward is on his head. We have a nice little Angel Apartments sign up here alongside a fancy, I don't know, this is a fancy rooftop decoration, I guess. Maybe it's also an antenna or something. Sorry. I don't know if you can motion sick. Maybe I shouldn't be swinging around on grappling hooks like that. This part of the map has always kind of interested me. It's like a squalid little park or something, you know. The best you can find in Angel City anyways. Lily pads. I guess it's yeah, just sort of a flooded, marshy little area. But you could get some Titan engagement here. I remember Titan fights would happen here a lot because it was a great flanking route, and so you would often bump into people coming the other direction. And it's also a little bit wide open, unlike the rest of the map where there are buildings on all sides. And so if you're a Titan, all of those buildings are very hazardous to have in close proximity to you, because an enemy pilot could jump out of a window at any moment and climb onto your Titan and start destroying it. So as a Titan, it was always nice to get a little bit of distance from yourself and buildings. Here we are at the Harbor Services again. We've done pretty much a loop of Angel City at this point, or rather just the Harbor District, with the IMC's martial law walls forming the border of this area. But we'll go to a map very different after this one. But actually we haven't checked in this building here, I think. So let's check this one out. I think this might also be apartments, I don't remember exactly. Okay, so just a variety of levels here. Not sure what this building is, but looks like 3 stories, or 2 stories, depending on what part of the world you're in. Harbor Drive, 20550 South. West Boney Drive, 20556 South. Some pink blossom trees. Are those cherry trees, perhaps? I'm filming a little late at night here, recording a little late at night here, so I'm a bit tired, looking for some relaxation myself. honestly, I find it quite relaxing making these videos. This guy, James McCallan, he was in the Titanfall 1 campaign, and he was ex-IMC, and he ended up sacrificing himself to destroy the IMC refueling station that I was telling you about. So, as his wanted sign shows, he is now deceased. But I was gonna say that, it's very relaxing for me recording these because the gameplay, when I'm walking around in this sort of slow pace, and all the game sounds are pretty peaceful, and it's just the sound of my character's feet, crunching through gravel, or clomping along bricks, or whatever it might be. It's actually quite soothing and calming for me. So, yeah, I kind of get my own relaxation fix making these videos, which, sort of what I go for is I just do what I think would be relaxing for me, and then I hope that other people find it relaxing as well. But anyway, we've done a nice little tour of Angel City, and it only took us like almost an hour. So let's squeeze in one more map for this video, and I'll have to come back to Titanfall 2 at some point to do a few more maps, because only getting through 2 is, there's a lot of other great maps to check out. But there's the angel off in the distance. And here we are on the map, Homestead. Homestead. And I thought that this would be a nice change of pace from Angel City. Very contrasting maps. Whereas Angel City is an oppressed metropolis of flashing neon and mildewing concrete under martial law, with bullet holes in the walls and graffiti on the windows. This map, Homestead, is a pristine, wide-open outdoor expanse of natural beauty. It's a little Yosemite-like to me. Just in the sort of look of the rocks and the trees and everything. But this map, Homestead, is, as the name suggests, a homestead for some of those settlers that I told you about in the story of Titanfall. Those colonists who came from Earth and founded their homes on these unsettled planets. So let's explore this peaceful homestead for a bit. the light shining through the clouds. Oh, this is just, don't you want to just walk through this? Lie down in the grass. This is kind of cool. They have these, like, this is basalt, right? I think this is like a volcanic, this is a type of, rock formation that can be created from, liquid, lava meeting the ocean or bodies of water. I think that's how these like basalt columns form. I'm no geologist, but whatever the cause, they look pretty cool. There's the Giant's Causeway right in, I think that's in Ireland. But it's a big stretch of this type of rock. So it's kind of cool that they designed these caves out of the stuff. Now that I think about it, there was a whole area in Arc 13 liquid processing, an area in the last Dragon Age game. Not Veilguard, I didn't play Veilguard, but the one before that, Inquisition, that was it. Dragon Age Inquisition. There was a whole coastal area, and it was all basalt columns like this. These, what are they like? Are they hexagonal? I think they're hexagonal. I can't remember, off the top of my head how many sides they have, but, yeah, anyway, we have, this colony module thing. Probably a lot of like prefabricated supplies. Interesting. Trading Canis Major, or rather, I guess it would be Canis Major Trading Company. Excuse my ignorance, is Canis Major like a real world galaxy or something? Or maybe a star? Or is it a constellation like Ursa Major? Anyway, yeah, the Dragon Age Inquisition had this whole rainy coastal area. It was a pretty cool area. And it had all of these columns everywhere, and I do recall that there were some caverns made out of this type of stuff in that area, so I guess I have seen this style of cave before. Sorry. I'm getting very snoozy. Once we finish checking out Homestead, I am definitely hitting the hay. I just love this environment though. Wouldn't you just have a great time like growing up here as a kid? All of this terrain to play on. I love like big rocks, Isn't that such a magical thing when you come across a big boulder? I don't know. There's something about big rocks. I just love them. of course, one of the reasons I love them is because they're so useful, you know. The pioneers used to ride those things for miles. So, who wouldn't love such an important, useful item? So let's walk around the back here. Follow this road. Forest stretching out the distance. I'm a very outdoorsy guy. In my heart, I guess. Which is another way of saying I'm not outdoorsy. I'm outdoorsy. I love to camp. I love to hike. I love to do those things. I just find that I so rarely have the time. And so I end up not being very outdoorsy in practice. I did Boy Scouts when I was a kid. And I didn't love all of Boy Scouts. There was some stuff that, you know, just like doing everything, like, I don't know, the tasks and a lot of boring stuff that the sort of bureaucratic nonsense that I didn't really like. But when we were, you know, camping or doing, you know, really doing like outdoors stuff, woodworking and fishing and pitching our tents and hiking and all that stuff, I couldn't get enough of it. I just loved it. And yeah, I should make more of an effort to get outside more. Well, to be clear, I do go outside quite a bit, actually. We've got some lockers in here. Some locked and some unlocked by the symbols. You know, I go outside casually, though, is what I mean. Like, I go outside to hang out and talk to people, or have a little picnic, or, you know, eat a meal outside, eat my lunch outside, or whatever it might be. I run somewhat frequently, a few times a week, and so, you know, I run outside. So I get outside a fair amount, but I don't like. I go outside. I don't go outdoors. You know what I'm saying? I'm not hitting the hiking trails every weekend. And that's fine. I mean, you know, I'm not so obsessed with it that I feel like I need to, sorry, not obsessed, that's like too strong of a word. I don't feel I need to be going on big hikes every weekend, but I've neglected that part of my interests for a while, and I should get back into it, because there's really nothing like getting away from civilization and just being out in nature, you know? Like, I love a public park as much as the next guy, and I really love parks. I've lived in places that don't have easy access to green space, and it's terrible, but there is obviously something very different about getting out in the woods. So anyway, I gotta do that. But I'm sorry, I'm rambling about my hobbies, and we're exploring Titanfall maps. I like these, like, support strut clamp things they have in this cave, holding up the roof, seemingly probably warding off, you know, collapse. machine is going on in my apartment complex right now. Probably a washing machine, but who knows? Might be a dishwasher or a dryer. Yeah, these buildings here, they seem to me to be like prefabs. Probably the colony ships or whatever that, we got a battery symbol here. Positive and negative terminals. Are these big batteries, maybe? My guess is these buildings and everything here is all part of a sort of prefabricated colony module thing. Got pineapple, bananas, an apple, and an orange. Just a nice little fruit basket here, even so far away from Earth. Isn't that nice? Warning. Warning, we've seen that name a handful of times on various items. I can't tell if this is... I feel like this is switching languages between like French and English or something. The sad thing about Titanfall is that the fan base, myself included, has long yearned for a Titanfall 3. But given the state of respawn and it just seems like Titanfall 3 is probably never going to happen. There was Apex Legends, which I understand integrated Titanfall kind of at some point. I never played Apex Legends, so I don't really know firsthand, but my understanding is it basically became a sort of soft Titanfall sequel or something like that. Not really a sequel, not something that anybody who wanted a sequel would be satisfied with, I'm sure, but sort of, they ended up using a lot of Titanfall in that game. Out here on the map is a lot more open, just some trees and rocks. There's kind of two complexes of buildings on this map, and then a long, wide alley of more natural terrain in between them. And then that big central tower where, snipers and stuff can be perched. What's very cool about the Titanfall maps, from a design and gameplay perspective, and I'm sure they had a lot of fun designing it, accounting for this in their design process of the maps, but every map is kind of like two maps. You need to build a map that works for pilots, and then you also need to build a map that works for Titans. And so, of course, pilots can go into buildings, they can go through windows, they can go into caves and all sorts of small passageways and stuff. And you need an interesting, fun battlefield for them. But then you have the Titans, and they're huge, and they have to, walk in wide streets and in big open areas and stuff like that. And so you have to design a map that is perfectly fine for Titans. You want some cover as a Titan, of course, but in general, a big wide space as a Titan is not a problem. However, for pilots who just have to run through that open space, it's not great. So, that's just kind of a fun thing that I've been thinking about as we've walked through these two maps. Like on Angel City, how if you're a Titan, it's kind of a claustrophobic map in a lot of places for you. There's all sorts of places that pilots can be hiding to do dangerous things to you. And not to mention, of course, turning a street corner and seeing another Titan, so just something I was thinking about. But let's ascend from these caverns and check out the other little prefab habitation area place. Got a little bridge set up there. Yeah, let's check out this one. We walked past the water wheel generator area. And now we're just gonna find our way up. The river, this little stream, disappears under here. Can you crouch in there? No, invisible wall. The stream disappearing under the basalt rocks. Can I? Yep. Oh, isn't that gorgeous? Just those mountains, those solitary mountains. I mean, they're kind of like buttes almost, but way too large to be a butte. They are just mountains, but they're so solitary. It's interesting. This is a very cool planet, or this area, anyways. This isn't Star Wars rules, right? It's not like every planet has one defining feature that the entirety of the planet adheres to. Alright. So let's see here. We've got some access hatch here to maybe this is like a battery unit here. There's a lot of tubes connecting to it. Might be wires, big thick wires. Down here we just have an entrance. Oh wait, that's just a drop off. There's not even a ramp up. It's a little dangerous. And I think this structure is like a house, if I remember correctly. Yeah, we've got a bedroom down there. Some shelving here. Some clothes, it looks like. Shelving and sort of a closet area, I would say. And some unpacked boxes. It's funny, is this a relatively new a settlement? valley. That's just gorgeous. The sky, the clouds, the light coming through. So over here, let's go check out that bedroom. I like this little lowered area here. Lots of these crates with the orange little cases inside. Some plants, some interior plants, lots of them actually. This person clearly likes their house plants. They haven't even finished unpacking their house, but their plants are all set up very nicely. It's a high priority for them. Some wrapped up boxes on a pallet there. Very messy bed. Very messy bed. Some clothing hung up. We have a jumpsuit of some kind, and a second one with a different design, sort of a work suit looking thing. Some more casual clothing, some maybe shorts or skirts there, some t-shirts, maybe some underwear it looked like. And I think this is a good place to end our little Titanfall excursion today. Especially because these people running their machines in my apartment complex are driving me insane. I'm going crazy over here. Don't they know I'm recording? Don't they have any respect? Don't they have any respect? But just find a nice little spot here to look out this gorgeous vista. And with this view in our sights, I will say thank you so much for joining me today. I hope you enjoyed wandering through Titanfall with me. And I will see you next time, my friends. Until then, take care of yourselves